Hey everyone, and welcome. My name is Julie Puzo. I am the head nutrition coach at Strength and Honor Training and Nutrition. And today we are going to talk about all things sugar and sweet. Before we dive in to the content in the program, I want to share a little bit about the nutrition program that we offer at Strength and Honor. So our program is powered by Healthy Steps Nutrition. Together, we believe that something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated, which is why we focus on a simple habit-based approach to help you reach your goals one step at a time. Healthy Steps Nutrition has helped over 40,000 people around the globe reach their health goals. Here are a few examples of how we're doing the same thing here at Strength and Honor. So let's first start off by talking about some of the diseases and risks associated with high sugar consumption. So many studies show that a high consumption in sugar is associated with inflammation and many chronic diseases. All of the cells in our body, including cancer cells, need sugar or glucose for energy. Some diseases that are linked directly to sugar consumption include diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and obesity. These are all strongly correlated with the consumption of sugar and can account for at least 13 different types of cancers, including breast cancer, liver cancer, and colon cancer. Most recently, we saw how these chronic diseases, including obesity, had a negative effect on people who were trying to fight off COVID. Did you know that the average American consumes over 500 calories in sugar a day? That's about 36 teaspoons. Can you picture that? It's insane. In a given year, Americans are consuming 150 pounds of sugar. It's insane. Comparatively speaking, in 1882, it would take an American 5 days to consume the amount of sugar that is in one 12-ounce can of soda. It's no surprise that the prevalence of obesity continues to go up. In 2017 and 18, 42.4% of adults and 19.3% of children and adolescents were diagnosed as being obese. It's clear why these numbers are still skyrocketing, but hopefully the information we're going to present for you today is going to help to mitigate some of that risk for you. So, not sure if any of these risk factors shocked you. Maybe it's the amount of sugar that made your jaw drop. I mean, 150 pounds is kind of insane. Maybe you're just sitting there going, how in the world is this even possible? Think about the last time you had a sweet treat. Did that one cookie or one donut turn into more than one, a sleeve of cookie? It happens all the time. We've all been there. In fact, I've helped so many of my clients navigate sugar in their life in a mindful way. There becomes this negative feedback loop when we tell ourselves we can't have or shouldn't have, or, oh, I should only have one because I'm going to feel guilty. What happens in those cases is we end up over consuming or just going overboard. So we have to bring in a mindful approach to navigating these sweets and treats that we all enjoy, but doing it in a smarter way. So do you have any struggles where you have seen yourself reaching for that second one? I know I sure have. All right, so have you heard sugar's addictive? It's kind of crazy. So the actual definition of an addiction is a craving for a specific substance that involves a continuous use, which becomes hazardous to your health or well-being, according to the FDA. Let me put it in these terms. A study that took place at the University of Minnesota found that sugary foods cause a similar effect on the chemicals in our brain as someone whose brain is on drugs. This is where the phrase sugar is as addicting as cocaine stems from. So knowing how much the average person consumes, we now know why it's easy for us to do that because it's addictive, and we know the negative effect it has on our health. I tossed out a lot of numbers in terms of how much, 34 teaspoons, 150 pounds. But what does that actually look like, and what are the recommendations? So the AHA recommends that no more than 24 grams of added sugar would be consumed for a woman and 36 grams of added sugar for a man in a given day. What does that equate to? 6 to 9 teaspoons of sugar, respectively. That's an insane difference from what people are actually consuming. So the average American is consuming like 6 times the amount of recommended sugar in a given day. But we're not going to sit around and count little sugar cubes all day. That's not how we consume it. So where is all the sugar coming from? We're going to dive into 3 food categories that have hidden sugars. So sugars can hide in all different ways, even with labels that say this is healthy or good for you or, full of fiber. There's a million ways that sugars are disguised in our food products. So let's dig in to some of those ways and help you to navigate those crazy waters. So the first category we're going to talk about are convenience foods like breakfast foods, oatmeal, protein bars, cereals, yogurt, things that are probably a staple in your household. I know they're a staple in mine. So first, let's talk about oatmeal. Oatmeal by itself, plain or flavored yourself, great option. But the convenience of those little packets that are full of flavor actually contain between 11 and 15 grams of sugar, and sugar is listed as the second ingredient. Pop-Tarts. One package of these little sweet puff pastries contains about 30 grams of sugar, 29 of which are added sugars. It's crazy. Trix yogurt. Like, I know myself, even when my kids were little, I would give them these yogurts thinking I was doing good. There's 14 grams of sugar in one of the Trix cotton candy yogurts. Chobani, traditional Chobani, is another one that has 16 grams of sugar. Finally, the other popular category here is cereal. An average cereal contains about 10 grams of sugar in 3/4 of a cup of a serving. How much cereal do you put in your bowl, or do your kids put in their bowls? That can really add up quickly. All right, now let's think about your pantry. What are those grab and go snacks that we all go to when we're running ragged? Granola bars, trail mix, even protein bars. These are all of the things that are staples in our pantries. So first, let's talk about trail mix. This is one that is often labeled as heart healthy, yet it contains, on average, 10 grams of sugar. Packaged pastries like Little Debbie Swiss roll, 27 grams of sugar. And a typical granola bar, like Nutri-Grain bar, 12 grams of sugar. How about that chewy, chocolate-coated Quaker oatmeal bar that I know my kids have asked for? 13 grams of sugar. Lastly, and this one is really mind-blowing, and it truly shows the struggle we have to stay healthy, protein bars. You think you're eating a protein bar, you're getting in the great nutrients that you need, but they're not all made equally. You have to be so careful. Some protein bars have 19.5 grams of sugar in them. Comparatively, a Krispy Kreme donut has 12.6. All right, so the last category we're going to focus on are beverages. And beverages have been a big topic in the discussion of the obesity epidemic. And here are a few shocking beverages that you may not have even thought would be a problem. Nesquik fat-free chocolate milk comes in at 54 grams of sugar. Minute Maid lemonade, 29 grams of sugar. And this one really blew my mind. Snapple iced tea has between 46 and 50 grams of sugar, depending on the flavor. 12-ounce can of Coke, 39 grams of sugar. The last thing within beverage that I want you to think about are flavored creamers. On average, a flavored creamer could have about 6 grams per tablespoon. When you're free pouring that into your coffee, you probably have no idea how it is compounding the effect. So make sure if you are using them, that you're using a tablespoon and seeing just how much you're putting in. So pause for a second here and think about the beverages, quick food snacks, and breakfast items your family has had over the last week. Anything fall into the categories we discussed? Anything you can think of off the bat that you might want to change? All right, that was a lot of information. Take a deep breath and let's dive in to how we can find out nutritional information and decrease our sugar consumption to help improve our overall health. So the number one thing is to know what's in your food. And you can do this by reading nutrition labels. The nutrition label facts are very easy to identify natural sugar and how much sugar is added to a packaged food. Make sure that you are reading the nutrition ingredient labels to know exactly what you're putting in your body. I think once you start looking, you are going to be surprised. And I know from working with my nutrition clients, they were. We've talked about this all the time. They'll send me pictures, I'll review labels, and when we call out what's in it, they are totally taken aback, but we're able to adjust and make modifications to help them enjoy the foods that they like. So when we think about this, we want to look at a few different spots on the label. So the first place to focus on is the serving size. So in a pre-packaged single item beverage or snack, usually it'll be one serving size per container. However, when you're buying a larger bag or bottle of anything, check and see just how many servings are in there. Definitely take a glance at the category or the calories, but really to focus on the sugars, we want to look at the total carbohydrates. So total carbohydrates will list out dietary fibers, total sugars, and added sugars. Added sugars are usually included to make something taste better or to make it last longer on the shelf. If you want to go even one step deeper, look at the label of ingredients. Sugar can be listed in many different ways. In fact, there are more than 60 different names for sugar. A good way to look out for it is to look at the word sugar itself, anything that ends in OSE, like fructose, and things that are syrups, corn syrup, brown rice syrup. The list goes on and on. All right, so we're aware of how they sneak in. We know how to find them. Now let's talk about ways that we can still enjoy these sweet treats that we love so much. So tip number one is you can use sugar alternatives. As we said, there are many, many different names for sugar. And while some are marketed as healthy, it is still a sugar. So for example, honey, maple syrup, agave, they all contain sugar in various levels. So here are 3 sugar substitutes that you can try. Cinnamon is one of my absolute favorites. I stir it in my coffee, my protein shakes, my oatmeal, protein balls. The list literally goes on and on and on. And what's super cool about cinnamon is that it hits the same taste buds that your brain is looking for with the sugar without adding any of the added sugar. So it is really great, and you can be so creative with where you add it. Another one of our favorites, I forgot, is adding it to protein or to pancakes or waffles. Amazing. Unsweetened shredded coconut is number 2. So this is a great way not only to add great flavor, but also to add some healthy fat. So when you're eating your oatmeal, sprinkle a little bit of coconut on top, put it in your energy balls. Delicious. And number 3 is fruit puree. So when you're using a fruit puree, you want to make sure that it has no sugar added. It gives your baked goods a really sweet taste, and it'll also help to moisten them a little bit as well. Never eat a carb alone. So carbs can be great for us, and during our program, we talk about all the wonderful ways to include carbohydrates in your diet, but you never want to eat them alone. When we eat a carbohydrate alone, we have the propensity for our blood sugar to spike, and then we come crashing down, which leads to even more cravings, typically for something sweet again, to bring those endorphin levels back up. So something that we teach here at Strength and Honor is to balance your plate. Never have a carb without a protein and a fat. When we pair it with a protein and a fat, it slows the digestive process down, keeping us fuller for longer. So, for example, going back to oatmeal, instead of eating that sugar-packed oatmeal pack, either start with a lower sugar option or plain oatmeal and add in things you like. Cinnamon, as we talked about, a little bit of peanut butter, some protein powder. There's great ways to balance it out. You could even have your bowl of oatmeal and a hard-boiled egg or turkey or chicken sausage on the side. So right there, we're getting a balance. We're going to stay fuller longer, and we're not going to come crashing down. Mindfulness is the last area we're going to focus on today. So not only being mindful with your portions, but mindful in your head to be able to stop and evaluate what you're doing before you dive in. So you have that first cookie. Pause and think to yourself, does my body really want that next cookie and the one after that and the one after that? Or am I just reaching for it literally without thinking? So something that we focus a lot on is, not calling things allowed or off limits or treating food as reward. All foods are allowed in our diet when we're mindful about how we're consuming them. So find that balanced mindset, understand it's okay to have that treat, and then move on. So a great resource, should you want any more information around sugar and the effects it has on our consumption, is a podcast that we have access to through Healthy Steps. So check out podcast number 15, Continuous Glucose Monitoring and Fighting Chronic Disease with Level Health. Lastly, if you'd like more information about our program and to hear how we've helped hundreds of people locally, feel free to reach out, send us an email, and we'll schedule your free discovery call. Thank you for joining.